Ha sketch cover comic cast. We are coming to you live, and when it's live, we are digging it the most. And check it out. My lighting hasn't gotten any better, and I'm chronically late, so you can call me the Barry Allen of the podcasting set. But if I'm Barry Allen, we've got the, let's see, what do we want to say here? We have got the mentor, the king of speed over here. We got Max Mercury. What's going on, Clay?
Max Mercury. Okay. Yeah, okay, I'll take that. He was pretty cool.
Zen Master, yes.
When we read Rebirth, that was not Rebirth. Barry Allen, Return of Barry Allen. That's what it was.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, that was good. I'll take Max Mercury. I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Hey, I am not bad. We're going to talk about some Beast Boy tonight, and I don't know, man. I've been really looking forward to getting back doing some of this podcasting. So, dude, it's great to be here. It's happy. It's awesome.
Agreed. I agree, man. It's been a blast. Been a blast being just reading comics lately. I've got to catch up on some stuff, so that was really cool. Finally got to go to our local comic haven over there at Sailfish Comics.
Oh, nice!
And got me a really cool just stack of comics that I hadn't been able to get in like a month because of my work schedule. So that was like Christmas. I love when I walk out of a comic store actually getting comics.
I know it just feels good. You went down to Virginia too, right? Like since we last got on here to the
Comic-Con? Yeah, I did. 2 weekends ago, I went to Danville, Virginia. It was their first ever Comic-Con, and that was pretty cool. You know, there wasn't a lot of, I guess you could say, celebrities there, and I didn't get to do a lot of networking while I was there, unfortunately, because I was just glued to the booth the entire time. It was pretty busy for first year, but it was super cool that they had a bunch of actually well-known wrestlers throughout history that were there, from Sergeant Slaughter, Lex Luger, who was it? Oh my gosh, ECW. Tommy Dreamer was there.
Really?
Victoria, or what's her name? Victoria was what she was called in WWE, but there's also she called something else in TNA, but she was there.
Victoria.
There was somebody else. Oh, Billy Gunn from D-Generation X
cool.
was there, and that dude was still ripped, man. I could not believe Billy Gunn, man. He was in great shape. But that was probably the bigger names that were there. They were all wrestlers, so again, there wasn't a ton of celebrities that were there, but it was really cool to see those guys. It was just cool to see like Lex Luger and Sergeant Slaughter just sitting next to each other. I was like, oh my gosh! Like,
did you get to
wrestled
talk to
like 40 years ago?
Them at all, or
don't get to talk to them?
Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't get to talk to any of them. Again, I was just glued to the booth. It was pretty busy, so I was just trying to help sell Eric's prints, and that was a blast in itself. But yeah, I mean that was really the biggest names that were probably there. There weren't really a lot of comic creators. There was just a lot of wrestling guys that were there.
Oh, gosh, I wish I could have seen that. I heard Lex Luger's like a real nice guy. Like, he's just awesome to talk to. So that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think he got sick, unfortunately, so he's definitely shrunk in size, and he was in a wheelchair while he was there. So I mean,
yeah,
keep him in your prayers. You know.
Yeah. Well, I think he's like, I know he's got a book out. I don't know. It's definitely worth checking out. So go Lex.
Yeah, it's cool. And Sergeant Slaughter, man, that was just cool. Like, he had that big G.I. Joe thing on his banner. I was like, dude, you are the man.
I used to really love Sergeant Slaughter with the G.I. Joe show, and when he fought Nemesis Enforcer in G.I. Joe the movie, that was awesome. It's like, this is for Duke. This is for the U.S. of A. It's awesome. I got his Funko Pop too, so that's kind of cool. So
oh man, if you were there, you could have got him to sign it or something.
That would have been awesome. Cool. That would have been amazing. I got Luger's too. That would have been great.
Yeah, that is cool. That is cool. But yeah, so that was definitely the highlight. But it was, again, good experience getting out there and getting to sell some prints for Eric, our sponsor. But yeah, I mean that was fun, and there's also another convention coming up next week. So we'll see how that one goes. I mean, again, just trying to build some capital so we can just start growing things.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of growing things, 2 weekends ago, we did the Superhero 5K up in Asheville, and that was awesome. You can check out some of the pictures that we got on Facebook, and we had people dressed up. I mean, it was awesome. I want to give a shout out to Stephen Kidd. He liked the show. and like the page, he was dressed as Black Adam, and I was like, that
Oh,
is a
that's
deep
awesome.
cut, my man. He was cool. We had
Yeah.
some Black Panther cosplay. One of the ladies there was dressed up like a Wakandan, and she was awesome looking. Like, you know, had a spear, had like, I mean, it looked pretty authentic. We had a Marvin the Martian. I did not get their picture, but it was awesome. And I don't know, there's just some really good good cosplay. They had an underdog, and I really wish I would have gotten an
underdog.
Yeah, I was like, there's no need to fear, an underdog is here. But it was great. I wore my Flash shirt. Christina was Wonder Woman, and Jimmy was Superman. So it was we had a good time, and got to check out a comic shop down there, and got X-Men Grand Design. It was a lot of fun.
That's cool. Is it a new thing?
Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. I think we might want to do a one shot. Okay. I think it's Eric Brown. I'm not sure. I gotta go back and look at the author because I had like a brain fart, but it's really good. He does like so far all the history of the X-Men up till like the Brood saga is all in like 4 volumes. Like it's his 4 issues. It's good. There's some continuity stuff that he changed around, and like, you know, me being a nerd was like, wait a minute, the X-Men did this, but I think it flows, and a lot of stuff is Namor's fault. So I think Ben Grimm would enjoy it.
Yes, that's right. It's always Namor's fault. It's always
Imperious Rex.
Yeah, that's right. That's cool. Well, all right, man. Well, that's about, you know, Imperious Rex is always a good transitional point to let's go ahead and just give a big shout out to our sponsor, Eric Nieltowski, with ericnieltowskiart.com. But guys, if you want to really show him some love, be sure to check out his YouTube channel, Divine Fire Studios, and subscribe. He does some awesome penciling, inking videos, and he is trying to create some original creator-owned content that he has been working on for a long time. So get behind his project. It is awesome. And I don't want to spoil anything for you guys. Go there and check it out at Divine Fire Studios on YouTube. And also, guys, don't forget, show us some love as well. Like us on Facebook. You know, subscribe to us on YouTube. You know, hit that bell for notifications, and also be sure, I cannot stress enough, to rate us on iTunes and Stitcher. That is one big way you can really show us some love and get the word out. But buddy James, bring us into the meat of our entire podcast, you know, like the book part of our podcast. You know, what did we read, and did you like it?
Oh, and before, and I did. Before I go in, you mentioned Eric Nieltowski Art on Facebook. He's got a poll. 19 hours ago, I voted. I'm sure my man Clay has voted. He's in like a little contest to talk about who did the best Starfire art. And I think if you want to show some love, get those numbers up there, man. Get those percentages. It's great. Eric Nieltowski Art.
Yeah,
but
I forget
Starfire.
What that's about. It's like they do their own videos on their him and like 4 or 5 of their channels where they have contests. So it's really cool, and definitely show Eric some love by giving him a vote.
And speaking of love, we got the Beast Boy series from 1999, and I know that because in the comic, Beast Boy said we're going to party because it's 1999, just like 1999. So this is some Turn of the Millennium fun here by Geoff Johns and Ben Rabb. It was awesome. 4-issue miniseries, and I had to do like some research because I was thinking, because it basically, let me go back. It basically chronicles Beast Boy after he quit the Titans in the 90s, and that was one thing I had to check up on because I thought he was like a permanent fixture kind of thing. I mean, when he's not with Doom Patrol, he's with the Titans, but he quit. He mentioned like that they kicked him out, but I was like, well, that doesn't sound, I don't know. But he went out to Hollywood to make his mark, and because his adopted mom, Rita Farr, Elastigirl, the original Elastigirl, not to take anything away from Helen Parr, but Rita Farr was the original, and she was a movie star, and he kind of wanted to go out. He'd been in some TV shows and stuff out there, and he wanted to make his mark. And I don't know, Geoff Johns, I thought, wrote a good, it's kind of like Down and Out in Beverly Hills, but it was with Beast Boy. And he has a roommate, his roommate is his cousin, I think.
Yeah, it's his cousin.
And he's kind of a loser because like he's almost evicted, and they get evicted in the course of the story. And then somebody is killing people and framing him for it. Like they're doing murders, and it's a guy with his face, and it's killing, well, just one guy that was at this club that Beast Boy went to. and that was harassing this girl. And then the guy winds up dead. Beast Boy gets blamed for it, winds up in prison. And then a whole bunch of people from his TV show that he was in when he was a kid are getting, well, they're missing, and they think that Beast Boy killed him too. And it brings in a lot of Titans history and a lot of Doom Patrol history too, which I thought it was just going to be like, okay, here's a little fun Beast Boy story. But there is some like really deep cuts. It's got, well, Nightwing shows up, which can't have that without, with Beast Boy and the Titans. And then Flamebird shows up when they reference Titans West. And for me, that was kind of a really personal thing. And I'll get into that later. And then you get like some stuff about Doom Patrol, their death, Madame Rouge, and there's like a second generation villain that ties in. It was awesome. I don't want to give too much away, but I don't know. Should we talk about Gemini? Should I do that now, or should we wait till?
I mean, you can. I mean, it's part of the story.
Right. Well, so through the course of it, Titans West, you've got Betty Kane, who wants to like reform Titans West, which is kind of like a West Coast Avengers version of the Titans, but not as popular. And she's out there, and I'll get into Betty Kane in a little bit, but she's got this Flamebird costume, and it's constantly like, we should get the band back together, Beast Boy. And he's like, I don't have time for this. I don't like you. I don't know what's going on. And then Beast Boy's cousin, and it just, I don't know. And Beast Boy's like, I'm going to try and do this on my own. I'm going to break out. And he runs afoul of like these two bounty hunters. And then Nightwing shows up because he's like, maybe he needs my help. And Nightwing fights the fake Beast Boy. And which is really cool because there's, well, I'll get into that too, where he figures out that it's not really Beast Boy. And then Nightwing, Flamebird, which is still, that's awesome to me. I'll get into and Beast Boy defeat, the evil Beast Boy, and he like runs off, and Beast Boy's like, I'm going to handle this on my own. And Nightwing's like, no, I'm going to help you. And he's like, no, I came out here to stand on my own 2 feet. You can understand that. And then you're like, ooh, yeah, get that, Batman. So then Beast Boy follows the clues and finds his missing co-stars from back in the day. And it turns out that the bounty hunters were working for the fake Beast Boy, who's not fake Beast Boy at all. It goes back to like this scene at this club at the very beginning where Beast Boy met this girl and kind of rejected her. It's the girl. The girl has shape-changing powers. And she was like masquerading as Beast Boy to ruin his good name, such as it is, and like get revenge. And he's like, revenge for what? She looks like Madame Rouge, who she references, Beast Boy, you killed her with the Titans. That was my mother. I'm getting revenge. And they fight, and it looks like she's about to win. And then, boom, Flamebird shows up. They rally. They defeat Gemini, because she's going by the name of Gemini. And bad guys go to jail. Beast Boy's exonerated, and they start setting up in an apartment and that's where it ends. It's like, and who knows what's going to happen? Maybe we'll get Titans West back together, and it says like to be continued. And there's the series. I don't know, but it was awesome. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it was. I didn't cut you off, did I?
No. I think Daisy's out here wanting to go to the bathroom. So
okay.
So.
Okay, all right. I got you. I was like, oh, there's a person back there. No, it's good. Yeah, I liked it. I'll say that it was good, but I don't think it was great. Like I liked it. It's hard I've never read a Geoff Johns story I didn't like. I'm not trying to hype up Geoff Johns. Some people hate Geoff Johns.
I know, right?
That's fine. I mean, that's their deal. I'm just one of the guys. I'm a fan. I like Geoff Johns' writing most of the time. And I was pumped about this because I know it's kind of a semi-earlier take from Johns. So and plus it was Beast Boy, my all-time favorite Titan. So I was excited to read it. And I'd have to say my biggest takeaway from it, and maybe it's because Wolfman really just like I felt scorned after Wolfman.
Yes,
for the way
he's like he's a
perv in Wolfman's story, and it just bothers me so much. But in this story, Garfield Logan, Beast Boy, really comes off as a semi-mature young man. Like he's trying to get out there and strike out on his own. And honestly, the way that Wolfman, and again, I'm not trying to slam Marv Wolfman. The guy has done awesome things like Dracula. community. Yeah, he's done some great things. But the way he drew, not drew, I'm sorry, the way he wrote Beast Boy, I more saw that the low-life cousin.
Yeah, me too.
You know,
I
was
thought
like,
that too. I was like,
Wolfman's,
that's
you know,
Beast Boy.
that's
Yes.
Wolfman's Logan, and that's terrible. I thought the guy was a total, like, I mean, sure, he was comic relief, and he wasn't a total perv in the book, but he was a loser. You know, he couldn't pay his rent, and he didn't even know he had bills. You know, he was too busy playing video games to take any kind of responsibility. And just as a man, as a married man who's got kids and stuff, I ain't got no time for somebody like that, you know? So
yeah, it was like
doing.
Oh, letting little Daisy. There's her. Super.
Oh, okay.
It's like, Daddy, I want to get in. Technical difficulties, guys. When it's live here, you never know what you're going to get. Some of those other podcasts that you go to, you know, online, you go to your iTunes and Stitcher and you download. You know what's going to happen there. Here, it's predictable. Like, come on, stick with us, because. Dude, that's not a channel changer. And you notice when I did that, guys, check your timestamp, 8:01, right at the top of the hour. Nobody's changing channels. Nobody's going to Raw. We know what's going to happen. We know who's going to win the
They all just went. They all just said, "Oh, Raw's on." Crap.
Like, what? Yeah, I swear. Like last night, I tweeted at Eric Bischoff. He has not responded back to me. I have no idea why someone like Eric, who has all of this stuff to do, would not take the time to respond to us. But I was like, Eric, my friend and I are podcasting tomorrow night, and it's going to be live. Should I give her away the results on the other show? Asking for I'm waiting for that.
That's awesome.
So yeah, you were saying like as a man, as like a married man's got responsibilities.
Yeah, I ain't got no time for somebody like that. So I really respected Garfield in this book, man. I was like, dude, you're a stand-up guy. You're really trying to do the right thing. I can get behind that. So I liked, you know, his portrayal in this book, the way that Beast Boy came off as, you know, just some, you know, this. I don't really want to call this a coming of age story because I didn't feel like that. It just felt like a young man trying to transition into the next part of his life, and like he was just trying to grow up and do something else. I
felt like too, like it's kind of his time too. Like we had the, I don't know, it's weird, the Return of Barry Allen story when Wally West has to grow out of the shadow of his mentor, stand on his own 2 feet. And then Nightwing in here, you know, Beast Boy even referenced, I want to stand on my own 2 feet. You can relate to that. So, and then Roy, you know, Speedy beat his little heroin addiction and became Arsenal. And, you know, so it's like, hey, Garth, all your friends are growing up and being adults. It's your turn now. You know?
Exactly. I think we even asked a question like this on our Facebook page at one point. Like, would people rather see Beast Boy maintain himself as Beast Boy or grow up to be the new Animal Man or the new Beast Man? Or become like some amazing character. But it just seems like he's stuck in this rut, you know, where he's stuck in Teen Titans Go Land. You know, he's like, oh, I like to turn into monkeys and eat pizza. You know, he just that's all he does, and that's all he's good at. What I think he could be a really compelling character if they gave him a chance. I think Geoff Johns did. Like, there was a great shot.
I think he did a good job in this, but I'm trying to think back to, and this is when I started doing some research because I was like, 1999. Geoff Johns did this. Is this going to be like a gateway to the Young Justice version of the new Teen Titans? And I'm like, no, I think that was much later. And it was like we had a couple of more iterations of, you know, the Titans. But it kind of bothers me, like saying that all the work that Johns did with Beast Boy, didn't he kind of regress in Geoff Johns' Titans to be like more of the younger kid? Like,
yeah, you're right.
I can't remember. And I'm like, but it's the same writer. Why? What is this?
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. I could be.
I didn't put two and two. That's a good point. I didn't put two and two together. I forgot that Titans run, I think it started in like 2003 or something like that. And this came out like 4 years prior. So, I mean, yeah, it's a good point. I'd like to get into the mind of Johns and say, hey,
what's going on? I need to reread the kids.
You know, let him go to college, or, you know, why didn't you let him do something cool?
One thing I didn't like about his characterization was when Gemini, and we don't know she's Gemini yet, shows up at the club and she's like, oh, I love you. I like it wasn't Star Trek, but it was a Star Trek like knockoff.
Yeah, like Star Troop or
Star
something.
Troop. It's like, Star Troop was my favorite show. You're awesome. And Beast Boy's like, get away from me, you freak. I'm like, what? Like, you just like, what? Can you say like, I'm flattered that, you know, you like my show and just go, but no, you freak, let's get it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's not cool, buddy. It's
And
not
hey, if you
cool.
see us at conventions, anybody that's a sketcher, we will not say that unless you request the Beast Boy treatment. Then we'll
Yeah,
you know,
that's fair. That's fair.
yeah, I mean, you know, somebody's like, "Hey, James, can you go all Beast Boy?" I'm like, "Get away, you freak! I'm trying to have dinner." But one thing I did like, and this was fun, there were the ads in the comics because I got your
Oh
version.
man.
And there was an ad for Justice Society where it was Sins of Youth. And I remember checking that out. And this was like before I really liked the Justice Society, but I did like Young Justice and I did like, you know, Justice League. So like Superboy, you know, becomes Superman and Robin becomes Batman and they switch places because the adults become kids. And Geoff Johns was writing Justice Society at this time. And I can't get that in trades. I don't know where that is. So I've got all of his, and maybe you can see him behind me. I don't know. I've got the Geoff Johns run on Justice Society behind me, and it's awesome. And if this is at the same time, like this is some good vintage Geoff Johns, like before he became like editor-in-chief or chief whatever of DC.
Right.
This was when he was making his mark, and there were some good comics there. I think it's great. So I like seeing that, and I like seeing the old ads. I think there's a Sweet Tart ad, and I mean it was fun.
Yeah, yeah. I remember the original PlayStation ads were in there. I was like,
yes,
oh
yes,
yeah,
I, like, I had that. I remember this.
Yeah.
The I did like the history too, and Geoff Johns is good at going back to history and like, you know, making characters relevant again, kind of thing. And I like the new Madame Rouge. It made me go back and thumb through the old Teen Titans and look up like the old, you know, the Doom Patrol and how the Brotherhood of Evil had them kill themselves basically to save that island. And then, you know, because Garfield Logan talks about, I killed Madame Rouge. And I asked you before we started, did he really kill her like in cold blood? And I have this, guys. He did not kill her in cold blood, but it happened. And we got a new Madame Rouge now in Gemini. So it was a really cool resurrection, so to say. So yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I mean that's against a good point. You know, if the point of the story in Geoff Johns' eyes was to bring back Madame Rouge, to for that to be the end goal. I know we just did like AVX, and the biggest thing that happened at the end of that was Charles Xavier's death, and also kind of the rebirth of Scarlet Witch to a certain extent. If the point of the story was to bring a character back, you know, I think they succeeded. You know, it made me interested in who Gemini was.
Yeah,
and she went toe to toe with you know Beast Boy in a lot of ways.
but again, like it's good. It's a fun read, but I don't think it's like, oh my gosh, like this is the best, you know, like it. But it's fun. Yeah. Like if somebody wants to read a Beast Boy story, I'm like, yeah, check this out. You know, like this is awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely good, but it's not great. It's not great.
No, it's not. It's not. It's if I were Geoff Johns' teacher and I'd read his other stuff, I would be like, "Did you just do this last night? Is that what you did? Like, let's turn this in.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like." Like I had a kid today in class. Like I finished my paper. I'm like, "You've had it for 15 minutes. It's good. You can do this. Like you can do it in 15 minutes, but it's not your best work. You know it's not."
Yeah, that's right.
And it's like, yeah, I know. Geoff Johns is like, yeah, I know. I've got like 4 other books. What do you want from me? Right?
That's right. That's right.
I was disappointed.
I wrote this one and 4 others.
So, which do you like? Would I spend more time on the Beast Boy comic, or would you like a Justice Society? Like, pick it. You want me to resurrect Black Adam, or you want me to spend more time on Gemini? Pick. You know. Like,
yeah, that's right. That's right.
Disappointed a little bit. And this is not a Geoff Johns. This is a DC thing. And it's because I'm like, you know, whatever. When I was a kid, getting into comic books, I got a greatest Batman stories ever told. Well, I actually got it from my brother because he was like a Batman fan. I was always like Superman, despite, you know, where we are now. But I got greatest Batman stories ever told. And then I got this greatest Joker stories ever told. And all through it were like some stories from Batman from the 1950s. And I also enjoyed Superman Family, which was great because I went to the first comic shop. It was, oh man, I'm going to have a problem because I can't remember the name. It was a comic shop in Ashboro. It wasn't Comics Conspiracy. It was just comic shop. And they had a whole bunch of back issues of Superman Family, like from the 70s, 80s. And then in those stories, it would have like Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen stories, old ones and new ones. And one of the coolest things in there was that it talked about how back in the Silver Age, Superman and Jimmy Olsen would go to the bottle city of Kandor and shrink down to Kandor size. And Superman would wear like a black and blue costume, and Jimmy Olsen would wear a red one because he's a ginger with like fire. And they fought crime as the Batman and Robin of Kandor, Nightwing and Flamebird. And I was whoa, okay. And then they would have like adventure. So there's Flamebird. But in Batman in the 50s, there was a Batwoman that wore the yellow and the red with the mask, Kathy Kane. And she had a niece named Betty Kane, who was Batgirl from the 1950s.
Wow.
And after Crisis on Infinite Earths hit, they retconned that out of existence. And there's only one Nightwing, and it isn't Superman. And there's only one Batgirl. It's Barbara Gordon. So guess who gets to be Flamebird? It ain't Jimmy Olsen. It's Betty Kane. And I just want to, I've been reading some of Grant Morrison's Batman too, where he says like everything that happened to Batman happened, like even the 1950s stuff. And I'm like, I want Betty Kane to be Batgirl, and I want that history, and I want that. So I being like a Silver Age fanboy, and like, I want that to happen. I mean, she can be Flamebird now, but say that she used to be Batgirl. But I did kind of like that little wink and a nod to Nightwing and Flamebird teaming up. And in the old Batman in the 50s, she used to have a crush on Dick Grayson, and like, we can get together too. If my Anne and Batman get married, then maybe we could date. And Dick's always like, oh, I don't think so. I don't like that. So there was some, cool winking and nods to that. And then I don't know, that was fun. No,
that is cool. That's a really cool fact. Like, I didn't know any of that. It's awesome.
I've got the Batman. Actually, I'll be right back.
Oh my gosh.
It's live, guys. It's
Dude.
live. You never know.
You never know. He's going. He's gone. That's awesome. Well, wow. He's gone. He just left me like that. Holy smokes. So I'm trying to comment section. Comment to me. What in the world did he just go to get? I have no idea what he went to go get. That is awesome. And he's going to listen back to this and realize, and the MP3, he left me all by myself, all by my lonesome. You can't hear it, but there's a tear going down my face right now. That is awesome. Comment section. You know what? While he's gone, let me chime in and say this. If you liked this story, please leave a comment down below and let us know what you thought of Beast Boy and Geoff Johns. Was it a good combo? Do you wish someone else had wrote this mini story, or do you like the fact that Geoff Johns did a decent Beast Boy? It's not bad, not great, but it's good. And I'd say I liked it. And are any of you guys hunting this book? Because
I'm back.
Oh, here he comes. Maybe. Here he comes.
I'm back. So I couldn't find a picture of
Uh-oh.
Kathy Kane had a niece named Betty, and she had a cool little red dress and like blonde hair, and I think it was like green. I don't know, but I wish they would make a Funko Pop of those guys. Really ticked off that she was not in that story. But yeah, she's cool. And Batman in the 50s. So sorry about that, guys. I let you down. I did some theatrics for nothing. But trust me, she's there. It's awesome.
That's okay. It's okay. Hey, me and the listeners had fun while you were gone, man. They got to hear my silent tear drop as you left me all by my lonesome.
Well, I'm going to have to go back, pause, rewind it, because I bet this was like where Clay was like, listen, I don't like James because he does this, but don't tell him. Okay, cool. And then
we were plotting how to take you down while you were gone.
Well, guys, it's live. That was like we'll say that was like a backstage segment. Don't turn the channel because I hear a guy named Mick Foley's going to win their world title. That'll put
Oh,
some butts
shucks.
in the seats.
Yeah.
Shout out.
That's awesome. No, man. No, that's cool. It's cool. Hey, I can do this. I can do it. I can do it. Okay. Well, dude, I think that actually is a good point. Let's have our final thoughts on the book real quick. What'd you think, man? I mean, just quick final thoughts, summary of Beast Boy. Did you like it, and do you recommend it?
Definitely recommend it for Beast Boy fans. Wouldn't recommend it yet for fans of like Teen Titans Go Beast Boy because they're different characters. I would like, if you wanted to get this version of Beast Boy, maybe give them, I don't want to say it, but like, you know, the original Titans and then be like, oh, here's, you know, Beast Boy grown up. But if somebody is, you know, into the Titans, maybe like the regular Teen Titans, and then was like, dude, I want to know a little bit more. Yeah, this was a great little intro into Beast Boy and a little intro into Doom Patrol too. And, you know, some good way to get in. I don't know. I think it, like you said, good but not great, but definitely for Beast Boy fans out there. So I'm glad we have that. It's good.
Yeah. Good summary. I agree. I definitely agree. I think that sums up with the good, not great. But at the same time, my only kind of afterthought after reading this book is that I felt like at the very end, and this is my closing thought on the book, was that the revenge story line as a whole, again, it's used so much that I was just like, it just you know, it wasn't really fulfilling for that to be the main thing at the end, the main big plot twist or whatever. And also just Gemini as the villain. I don't know, I guess because I would have been much more interested in like the Beast Boy clone as the villain, like a dark Beast
I would
Boy,
have too.
than I was again with this kind of revenge type story with someone who I again was not familiar with at all until the final panels of the book called Gemini. So again, Dark Beast Boy I think would have been a cooler take, and you know there would have been two changelings out there, and where'd he come from and all. Anyway, but yeah, all right, good, not great. Comment section, let us know what you thought of the book. I already asked you this same question while James vanished. So
That's my power.
It's good. Okay, well, man, here we go. Favorite part of the podcast. I think we both agree this is our favorite part of the podcast.
Yes, it is. Yes,
and,
it is.
Character resurrection. Boom! It is your turn this week. Who did you pick?
Okay.
Who are we dealing with?
I've been, and I gotta apologize, I've been listening to reruns of Nightcast. It's a podcast with the Fire and Water Network. They're awesome. They did a story about Batman, and it's like post-crisis Batman, and it talked about new version of Jason Todd's origin. Well, there's a character in there called Ma Gunn, and it was actually one of the first Batman comics that I ever got. I got in one of those like Walmart 2-packs or Walmart, like, I don't know, there was like a John Byrne Superman, there was like this one, and maybe a Doom Patrol. I don't know, but there were a couple of comics. And she's basically, after Jason Todd got caught boosting the tires on the Batmobile, Batman takes him to a all-boys school run by Ma Gunn in Crime Alley to set him straight, you know, like get him off the streets and stuff. Well, it turns out Ma Gunn isn't so nice. She runs a school of crime. She teaches kids how to be criminals and how to steal. And I should have realized this, and they pointed out in like Nightcast. Her name is Faye Gunn, and it's a pun on Oliver Twist, King of Thieves, or the thief guy, Fagin, who would get a gang of thieves, little boys, and teach them how to pickpocket. So Faye Gunn, Fagin. And I think she's probably got a little bit of nod to Ma Barker and Mother Marm Mandelbaum. I'll talk about them in a bit. But basically, she runs a school for crime, and it's pretty, you know, contrived. And they wind up like trying to break into this museum, and Jason Todd stops them, and then he gets to be Robin because, yeah. And then he meets a crowbar with Joker. But I don't think she'd been used since then. Like, that was pretty much it. It was in 2 issues you saw her. I looked her up, and DC Comics said like she showed up in Red Hood and the Outlaws, and they said that she was Jason Todd's grandma or something. I haven't read that, but that's pretty much it for her. Just basically runs a school for And she's Australian for some reason in the comics. I don't know what that's about, but yeah, that's. Should I go first or you go first? I go first.
Oh man, it's your turn to go first, man. This is your
okay.
Your
So
baby.
I had a hard time with this lady because I mean, really, School for Crime, if that's what she runs, that's basically all she does. So trying to resurrect her, I thought, well, what if we made her? I don't know. I thought back to there's this book, Gangs of Old New York, and they made a movie sort of about it. But there's this lady, she came from Germany, and I bet they based it on her just a little bit. Mother Marm Mandelbaum. And she was like one of the best fences in old New York, like in the 1800s. You would bring stuff to her and she'd find, places to sell it. And she actually trained some thieves and like some pickpockets, and she was friends with like bank robbers, and they would all have these like dinners of crime with high society. Like she was really cool. And I thought, well, maybe I could make her something like that and have her run up against Jonah Hex and like have her be like an institution in Gotham. Like, because you had like the Court of the Owls. Maybe she ran, and did like a crime school. And when Jonah Hex was there with Arkham and the Jonah Hex series, they run afoul. And I'm like, but that's basically the same thing that she does now, except it's just in a different time period. And I thought, well, maybe it'd be fun to put her in the Teen Titans Go universe and put like a whimsical, little take on her. But here's what I came up with, and this is something. So bear with me. Okay. In DC, there is Darkseid, and Darkseid, is the Lord of Apocalypse. Darkseid is. And he's got all these different, plans to basically find the anti-life equation and make humanity darker and subjugate everybody, take away their free will, all that stuff. And one of the people that he uses is Granny Goodness. And she trains Darkseid's like with the Furies and, some of Darkseid's like elite forces. And I think it's in the orphanage is where she does that. And she like, Granny loves you. And she like brainwashes him and beats him. I mean, just total abuse. And I think Scott Free was in the orphanage and he escaped and like was able to overcome. But there's been a whole lot of stuff where, they said in like orphanages on Earth, Granny Goodness gets people and like corrupts them for Darkseid too, so that they can use them. So I thought, what if Ma Gunn is Granny Goodness's daughter or clone? You've got grandma and there's your mommy. And so I kind of thought, well, what if you've got like this whole thing where she's in Gotham, but she also has like these little school for boys, and girl. I mean, it could be just a school at this point because, Darkseid's equal opportunity. He doesn't care. Everybody is one in Darkseid as long as they do the Darkseid. But maybe she has like these, not orphanages, but it's schools, and she'll train like street kids or just anybody. And maybe it's operating as like a youth center or, put like a modern spin on it, like someplace where like a safe space or, something, and people come in and it's like, mommy's here, don't worry about it, like, and really she's like,
that's creepy.
Right, exactly. And so like she's taking people in the Granny Goodness playbook, but she's Granny's daughter and she's like working, in Gotham. There's, her own clinics maybe in Central City, Keystone City, Metropolis. And some of the people who are like higher up, they get jobs in like gangs, especially like Inner Gang, which Bruno Mannheim worked for Darkseid. And so like they would have graduated either from Granny Goodness, maybe Ma Gunn sends the most promising ones to Granny Goodness and so on. And the ones that aren't so promising, they just go out into the world. And maybe they're kind of like sleeper agents. Like they did have this abuse. They are loyal to Granny Goodness. They are loyal to Darkseid and Ma Gunn, but they don't know that they're loyal. And one thing that I don't know in the comics that like they've been doing for a while is the crime Bible, where it's like swear on the crime Bible for Intergang, like bad is good,
that's
good
real?
is bad. Yeah, they did it in like the New 52, and like they would have like the crime Bible, Book of Moriarty, chapter 1, verse 5. So it's like villains, and it would be like, and they would do, stuff with that. So they brainwash these guys. They keep them in and it's not all orphanages. It's not all like, but it's kind of like an institution, kind of like what I was talking about last time with Frogman, where he's got like his really good, like, helping people stuff. And they're like, God, it's the opposite. And they're doing like they're saying they're helping people, but they're brainwashing them and just training them to be evil, but not necessarily like decide I'm going to like take over the world, or even like the Joker beat you with a crowbar evil. Although that's like a point. They send people out into the world that have like been, trained or whatever, to be just indifferent and like cold. And, like how you've got that meme where it's like, say something nice to somebody during the day. Like that could like make a difference with somebody. The crime Bible thing that they do is like, you get a chance, undercut somebody today. It's all about you. Who cares?
Right.
And like it's stuff that, like, the guy that cuts you off in traffic and makes you start cussing and punching the wheel. They're Granny Goodness's person. Like they're there to do that. Like, and it's just like, my God, like, it's just like little petty cruelties that make the world worse bit by bit by bit, so that you don't care when like something bad happens to your neighbor. It's like, I'm probably getting like, and like I said, like, bear with me. There's that, what do you call it? There's a book by Edith Bunting called Terrible Things. And it's about like this bunny that's in the woods, and like so the terrible things come and take one of their friends, like take the bird. But the birds are always too loud. It's not our problem. And then, each animal, and it's like, whatever. And, there's like the first they came for the communists. I didn't say anything. I wasn't a communist. And they're training people from that school or wherever to be the person who always says like, it's not my problem, to be the opposite of a Superman or a Batman who's like, I'm doing the right thing because that makes the world better. No. They're going to teach you how to make the world worse. And she's not as cruel as Granny Goodness because she's a mom, not a grandma. Grandma's always like, they're bigger. They're like, you want a cookie? If mommy gives, Jimmy a sweet, grandma's going to take him to the fair, like it's like Granny's more. So Ma Gunn, little less cruel, whatever. And then there's going to be a time where all of the major stuff gets activated, like when Darkseid comes, and then all the sleeper agents awake, and Darkseid is like, you saw Ma Gunn, mine is the finger that pulls the gun. Darkseid is, some kind of so. But I just like the idea of, this is where you get bad guys. The most promising are people you'd see like Bruno Mannheim or like Desaad or, those hardcore level. But these are the low level bad guys that, shoot, like I could be one of these guys. You could, on like our worst day, it's the cruelties that every human is capable of that bring us down instead of up. So there's Ma Gunn. Yeah.
Dude, I can get behind that. I can get behind. It's like Darkseid's form of universal Chinese water torture. It's just like all the small little things. That's awesome.
It's turning up the thermostat on the stove, and the water's boiling, but you don't feel it because it's just a little bit at a time. And then like you look back on it and you're like, yeah, I'm not going to go out my way to help that person. Like somebody drops their books, and you're like, that's funny, instead of, hey, can I help you? Like that's what Ma Gunn wants you to do.
Exactly.
Sleeper Agent Darkseid. And you can sign up with her stuff online. She's got like, it's got basketball at her center. It's like, come on, it's got computers. It's awesome.
That's right. Dude, that's pretty sadistic. Like slowly breaking people through the small, minute things, man. But I mean, you're right. I mean, what is it? Just those kind of things, man, they just build up and they can break people. They just bring people.
The hole in things, right? She's one aspect of the hole in things. It's what Batman 66 would fight against. Batman, I don't have to do that today. Robin, obviously you have to help other people. It's important. That makes the world a better thing. Gosh, yes, Batman.
Dude, that is awesome. But it's so true. It's so true, man. Just hey, simple things, man, nowadays just make a world of difference to people. It's amazing.
Yeah. So guys, be nice, because if you don't, Ma Gunn and Darkseid win. So I don't know if that's where you want to go, but I mean, anti-life, come on.
That's right. That's awesome, man. That's really cool. Let's come up with a cool hashtag, like hashtag pull the trigger or hashtag don't pull the trigger. You know,
Hashtag don't pull the trigger. I mean, and like Ma Gunn is the voice that, like, if you get somebody to make you say that one thing that you really shouldn't, you know, like, but
yeah,
dang, it feels good. And that's one thing she teaches you. You're at the basketball court and, you know, somebody like steals the ball from you and you don't trip them. And Ma's like, why don't you do that? Why don't you stand up for yourself? He's gonna walk over and call him something bad. You know, it's like,
yeah, that's right. That's right. What is that Martin Luther King quote? The only way for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing.
Good men do nothing. Yeah. And she's like, God, man, you ain't got time for that. Go drink a beer. You don't have time to. Like, why are you going out of your way to help somebody? Or like somebody's kicking a dog and, like, you know, maybe Jason Todd, maybe you do the Jason Todd origin with her too, because I mean, it could still work. Somebody kicks a dog and Jason's like, hey, and she's like, it's just a dog. What is your problem? Go back to work.
Oh my gosh.
Like, yeah, it is just a dog. Yeah. So that's her.
I got you, man. Hey,
be nice, guys.
My God. Okay, so is it me?
It is you, Resurrect.
Okay, all right. Let's see. This one was hard, man. Like it really kind of threw me for a loop. I was expecting something with like a color and a insect name, you know, you know, like, you know, something like superhero-ish. But then you sent me Faye Gunn. I was like, a
woman in a dress,
yeah,
a like 1980s or 1880s dress with like a.
True. I was like, this is an evil golden girl, you know, like what are we doing? It's like, what is this?
Absolutely true.
So, okay, so I'm kind of on the same vein that you're going, but not quite. I'll try and keep this as succinct and you know, just as small as I can keep it. No, because because when I got on the my train of thought, I started to really just kind of go after it, and I was like having all these like interesting thoughts, like, well, we could go this way, we could go that way, and I was like, you know, I don't know. There's a fine line with this character of where you really can go, without making it too absurd, but like, okay, so ultimately, what I think, you know, will be interesting for someone like Ma Gunn, would be to definitely kind of keep her old. I think I saw somewhere where like they were like in the New 52, they brought her niece back. Her name was Faye Gunn, and they tried to kind of resurrect in that kind of way. I think that was an aspect, but I definitely think it needs to stay, you know, evil golden girl. She runs this evil school. That needs to stay, I think, for sure. But my take is a little different in the sense that I think if you take Ma Gunn and you keep the idea that, you know, she's training super villains, our young, you know, villains or young criminals, how to be criminals and stuff like that. To me, I thought it was interesting when I started to dive into the process of like, well, how do you graduate from the school? You know, who succeeds, you know, who's like totally failing. And so then I had the thought, you know, like, well, she's kind of in a way like a very valuable character to like the crime organizations. So I was like, well, I wonder how long she's been around, you know, how does she how does she stick around in the long run? And so my idea was this. Ultimately, I thought that it'd be interesting if you kind of turn her into DC's version of the Vulture. Ooh. But I'm talking about the life-sucking Vulture, like the one that is looking to stay either young forever or beat death. So my thought was on students that were failing or students that, you know, just whatever, you know, they weren't cutting it, or maybe they talked back to her, whatever, you know, that was their end. You know, she basically ended their life, and she is sticking around because of it. You know, that it's like this life-sucking vulture. Nice. But she doesn't, you know, ever take too much, I guess you could say, because, you know, if she got too young, it'd look odd to the public. You know, I don't know. That's, you know, here, you know, neither here nor there. So just a little extra thing to think about. But I think it'd be interesting if that's basically the thing that, you know, really kind of sets her apart, is if she is like this character that actually is dangerous in the sense that she can take life. She's not just an old evil golden girl. But another thing that I thought would be really interesting is if she has been able to do this for like you're saying, even back in like Jonah Hex day, or even further and further back than that, if you really want to get imaginative, if she's been doing this for centuries, then I think it'd be really interesting if she's kind of become like this character that every villain respects. It's not just like this, you know, everyone knows about her. No one wants to mess with her, but they all bring, I guess you could say, their potential next generation to her because she knows what she's talking about. She's extremely smart, and she's almost what you consider kind of like an evil consultant. Like you can almost think. Again, when I was thinking about this character, I had a lot of fun thoughts of like all these Batman characters. Like, you know, the line could be said that everyone's been to her at least once. You know, whether or not they took her advice is completely not the case. You know, that's again not the point. The point is that everyone has talked to her at least once, and it's almost like I don't want to say like she tells them, you know, their place in the criminal world, but you know, she almost like sets the precedent for who's going to be a part of like the League of Assassins. Like she like sets recommendations for that. You know, maybe she's had talks with the Joker. Maybe she's had talks with Bane. And, you know, who's not to say that she hasn't consulted, you know, you can maybe do some retconning here where she's consulted some of Batman or Superman's top villains and really helped mold them or shape them into like these people that again are so prominent in DC history. So again, that all stems from like her being this like life-sucking, quote unquote immortal that's been around forever, rivaling, you know, Ra's al Ghul in intelligence and strategic like warmongering and whatever else. So I don't know, man. I really had a lot of fun thinking about this. I felt like it was kind of dark.
I like this because it kind of has like that Mother Marm Mandelbaum, because like all the criminals who would show up at her house, she would be like, okay, you getting all this money from banks, you need to put it in this offshore account, and here's how you do it. And it even has like an aspect of like Moriarty, where he's like, I'm going to plan this crime. I'm really good at that. You go do that. Or like, listen, dude, why are you running around in the Stiltman costume? That's stupid. Here's how you need to be making your money. Like you've got a good idea. Like, and when you were talking, like her being around a long time, have you seen Godfather 2 at all?
No, actually, I haven't seen any of the Godfathers.
They're really good, but there's a guy that it's in part 2 where like Vito's son has inherited like the criminal empire, and he goes to talk to this guy who was a kid or like young man when his dad was, you know, coming up in the mafia. And now this guy's old. It's a guy named Hyman Roth. And they're like, a lot of people have come and gone in this organization, but not Hyman Roth. He's the oldest, and he's still around because he makes money for his clients. He's always made money for his clients. And I'm like, my gun's always made. Yeah. And you can even do like, you know, like a whimsical story with her, or like a super dark. There was a Joker story in like the Silver Age where he couldn't come up with Joker crimes. Like he just had like writer's block. So he went to like a gag factory and had people write his crimes for him. And it was like the man who wrote the Joker's jokes. So maybe Ma Gunn is like, listen, I got a kid who's really good at planning these crimes. Let's see if you like him, you know, and like he does this, and maybe he grows up to be like Gaggy Gagsworth, the little dwarf guy that used to work for the Joker. Or I got this girl that worked or like maybe this is like some of like, yours is really good because like maybe this is where Two-Face goes, and he's always getting those twins that are in his organization, you know.
Oh,
like, well,
wow, she's pairing them.
Yeah,
pun intended. But yeah,
or like, you know, Riddler. Like, I've got these people that are super smart. Oh, okay, well, you'll be query and question mark girl for this crime. Like, this is where they and she could even be like, you could do like a riff on the Avengers Initiative where they had the school, you know, for the kids, and they had like Spider-Man as a guest speaker. Well, like Ma Gunn, like today's guest lecturer, I was able to get the Riddler to come in and talk to you guys a little bit about this.
Yeah.
Gosh, that would be so cool. You could put her in like Gotham Academy, or you could go like super dark and like she's, like you said, like League of Assassins, like Rachel come to her and, you know, here's this guy. Or I love that idea. That's awesome.
That's cool, man. Well, again, I didn't. I mean, I had fun with it because, like you're saying, I feel like there's just a ton of different stories you could tell with that, where
Yeah.
everyone's talked to her, and it's almost like if you don't talk to her, you're stupid. Like, you know,
Yeah.
like she knows what she's talking about, and she can get you where you need to go or where you're trying to go. But I didn't know if there's like, again, like like a line that could be crossed with her, like as in,
Mm.
could you take her too dark, you know, as far as her treatment of the kids and what, again, and that makes her like an ultra villain, you
Mhm.
know, but you know, just for taking anybody's life, no joke. But at the same time, you know, if she's like consulting the Joker, and maybe the Joker in one sense could be considered like her greatest pupil or something like that, or
Mm.
she's, you know, again, it's always known that he's been crazy, he's unpredictable and whatnot, but at the same time, you know, is this somebody, you know, could Ma Gunn be somebody that Joker respects?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he goes to see her, and maybe like, you know, I don't know. Like I was trying not to go like mystical with this junk, as like I don't know like the origin of where her powers could be. I didn't want to really step into more magic characters. I feel like, again, DC is just so rooted in
Yeah,
mythology and magic and all that stuff. There's like already a ton of characters in that. I was like, but it's easy to do that, you know, if like, you know, she's protected by like the demon Etrigan, or, you know, something like that.
yeah,
And
or something like the Shade with like his shadow powers. Maybe she has something similar to, like, maybe she knew him and she has some yeah, like I don't.
right, like, I mean, and one, again, dark story that came to my mind when I was thinking about this was like, what if the Joker, in like his first time going to talk to her, again, he thinks she's a joke. You know,
Yep.
he thinks that she's like this old woman, you know, like, you know, what do you know, you know, and he's like making a big joke out of her. And for all we know, I mean, again, again, this is kind of graphic, but the word or the images that came to my head, the panels that kind of formulated, was like her just coming up to him in mid laugh and ripping off his ear and just screaming in it the same plan. And, you
Yes.
know, and then like, you know, again, somehow mystically, her whatever her powers are, you know, she fuses the ear back onto his body, and he is like left stunned and
Yeah.
completely terrified
Yeah.
that she's not afraid, and like she set him straight.
Oh, I
And
could see that. And then like the Joker starts laughing after that, and he's like, I like you.
yeah, exactly. So again, that's, I guess, a dark part of the story. Again, I don't really like going too dark
Right.
often, but again, for someone who like this, where that you could strategically put in so many different stories, even like to the back into like the formulation of like the Court of Owls and stuff, you know,
Yeah, I would
just
love to
really
see
cool
her.
stuff like that.
Or the Black
I
Glove with Morrison.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So it, again, because she's dealing with so many dark characters, that you're dealing with psyches and just characters that just all different shapes and sizes and mentalities, and different lines that they're willing to cross. I feel like she almost has to top them all to a certain extent, to kind of be as good as she would be, you know, good, you know, at what she does. Um, to be able to speak to them. Like, she's got to be experienced enough and know she's be willing to do the things she's talking about for her to really matter. So
Well,
again, I
and
feel like she become a dark character.
I would like to see too, like, wherever she operates, if it's in like Crime Alley, maybe she knows Leslie Tompkins and they have like a rivalry, you know, like, no, 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 like, don't go to my gun. Or you could even like have her team up with the good guys, depending on how much you want to write her as caring about the kids. I mean, like, she probably doesn't care too much because, like you're saying, like, she's like taking their stuff, but like maybe, okay, I'm just thinking of the Joker or Black Mask, you know, like
Yeah.
some of her kids graduated working for him, like in an internship, and Black Mask like abuses them or he kills them or he does something bad. And then Ma's like, no, no, we don't do that. Like, you let him hurt one of my kids, I don't have anything, you know, that takes away my credibility. You know, you hurt one of us.
Oh
All right,
yeah.
I'm gonna give him up to Batman, and then she might have like a do not do business with these guys, and that hurts the credibility of, you know, the whatever. So she'd be
That's
like,
powerful. That's good. I
yeah,
like that.
or and like, you know, Batman has like the mobs, like maybe she taught the Roman, you know, like Falcone, like some of the stuff, like, here's how you get up in the mobs, here's what you do, and then he always like gives her a kickback, and she sends him more soldiers, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, that yours has got a really good storytelling engine. I love it. Like,
Oh, that's cool, man. I have fun
historical.
with it.
That's awesome. And I would love to see her with like Jonah Hex, like somewhere, like boom, or like, like the Old West. And in the 1940s, like maybe she fought, what's his name? Alan Scott, Green Lantern, like in Gotham.
Oh, that'd be intense. Yeah.
Or, if you even went with like the storyline where the Reaper is like killing criminals, before Batman shows up, and she's like, stuff's too tight, man. We got to shut down shop for a little while. It's getting too hot.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
I'd love it. That's so good.
That's cool. And maybe one episode or one issue, she could be consulting the Wizard. And then,
of course. Because why not? And she's like, no, here's the thing. You got some pee and you can keep it here. But wouldn't that be like she's basically, she can also be like, oh man, like if a character and or like a villain is stale, nobody respects him, like a Kite Man who is coming up, maybe she helps him rebrand, like, well, I can help you out for a fee. Yeah. I can tell you, here's what you need to do. Like, you're like, okay, like that would be awesome. Now I want to do like Batman and Ma Gunn, like, her consulting with somebody, or like, hey, maybe like some of the 66 villains go to her now, like King Tut. Yeah. What do I do? No one cares about pharaohs anymore. We're going to rebrand you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I would love to see that. That would be awesome.
Or she gives like old criminal stuff to some of her classmates, like, people that like her graduating class. She's like, well, look, you got that other guy that used to be the Mad Hatter, not Jervis Tetch, but the guy that had the hats that shot at people. He ain't using it. He's dead. Here's what you get for graduation. Go make me proud. Or maybe some of these like B-listers, D-listers, like Zebra Man or like the Mime. She's like, okay, your final exam, do a crime like this person and get away with it. And then you'll get a top job with Intergang or a top job with, the Falcone, and you won't have to work a day in life. But first, you got to rob as Stiltman and pull it off.
Yeah, that's right.
If they do, then hey, they graduate. I don't know. It's just that's so cool. Like, I love the idea of her like being like that's cool. That's super cool.
Awesome, man. That's cool. I'm glad you like it because that was.
I want a My Gun Funko Pop so I can play this with like.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, we'll just go buy a Golden Girl, man. I saw they came out with them a little while ago.
That is a great idea. So sound off in the comments if I go buy a Golden Girl Funko Pop. Should it be Blanche? Who's the other one?
I don't remember. I remember the short one with glasses.
Yeah,
that's all I remember.
Betty White. I know that's not who.
Yeah, Betty White. She was one of them.
And then B. Arthur, I think. I don't know. Tell me which one would look most like Faye Gunn, and I will go and buy that.
That's awesome.
I might order online. That'd be fun.
That's cool, man. That's fantastic. Well, we're about at that time, buddy.
Yes.
Like it is time to come to a close, unfortunately. But any closing thoughts, man, on Beast Boy, Geoff Johns, or Ma Gunn?
I want a Ma Gunn Funko Pop. I did like. I should have said this. Where Dick Grayson bails Beast Boy out of jail, and he has like Haley Circus is his.
That was sick.
I like it when he gets some old man Wayne money and does stuff.
Yeah, that was awesome. I forgot about that. That was great. But
yeah, it's good. It was good. I like Ma Gunn's crime crew, and I would recommend the Beast Boy to any Beast Boy fans. So, yeah.
Fantastic. I concur, Doctor. Do you concur?
I concur. I should have concurred.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks so much for joining us today. Don't forget to support our sponsor, Eric Nieltowski, with ericnieltowskiart.com. You can go check out his websites for prints if you want to check out some of those, or if you really want to show him some support, go subscribe to his YouTube channel, Divine Fire Studios. He's got some amazing videos there of him doing some penciling, inking, some original creator-owned projects that we definitely want to encourage you to get behind. So show him some love there at Divine Fire Studios on his YouTube channel and subscribe. And again, don't forget to show us some love as well. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Sketch Cover Comic Cast. Hit the bell for notifications and like us on Facebook. And as always, Rate us on iTunes and Stitchers. That is a huge way to bless us, and we sure would appreciate the support. But guys, thanks again so much for tuning in. We love you all, and we will catch you guys in the next one.
Absolutely. Take care, guys.